We good. We should be going to sound now. I've been waiting for this, y'all. And I gotta get stretched out. I gotta get ready. Because for 3 years, really, at this point, excuse me, I'm just getting a little worked out. You know, I don't wanna pull a hamstring or get a crick in my neck because I'm about to go in. I've been 3 years. I've been telling people about Elizabeth Warren. 3 years. Over the last year, probably more than anybody else, I've been very clear on where I stand on Elizabeth Warren and how I feel about people who keep pushing her not only as the second most progressive candidate, not only as an ally of Bernie, but actually just a progressive at all. Give me 1 second. I'm getting right, y'all. And I'm about to go in. Hold me back. No, don't hold me back. To the invisible people behind me. Don't even hold me back. I got this. Don't worry about me. I'm be all right. But you know who not about to be all right? Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren is not about to be all right. So there was a quote unquote volunteer who actually was not a volunteer that put out a document or an image in a random Bernie Slack group. Or is it Discord? I think it was Slack. That's what Bernie Sanders used to use. Or at least the groups that were volunteering with him. And in that image, it was claiming that Elizabeth Warren, is an elite and she is the candidate of elitists. First of all, is that really all that debatable? Like that's a different discussion that we will have, but is that really all that debatable? Not really, not at all. So here's the thing. Turns out that person had only posted in Slack one time. And that was the only time. Of course, the establishment has spies everywhere waiting to pounce on progressives, waiting to pounce on a mistake such as this one that was made. And of course, it got leaked to the media. Now, the media goes up to Elizabeth Warren and says, this is what happened. Bernie sent someone to attack you. And do you know what Elizabeth Warren said in response to that? Instead of shutting it down immediately, this is what Elizabeth Warren had to say. I was disappointed to hear that Bernie Sanders is sending his volunteers out to trash me, Warren told reporters. Bernie knows me and has known me for a long time. He knows who I am. He knows where I come from, what I have worked on and fought for. Yeah, he knows you were a Republican, but that's a different discussion for a different day. We don't judge. But did you just hear that? Did you just hear that? Bernie Sanders sent his volunteers to trash me. Bernie Sanders sent his volunteers to trash me. I was disappointed to hear that some of Bernie's volunteers, may not like me or may be spreading info about me I don't like. But that's not an indictment on Bernie Sanders himself. Bernie Sanders has made it clear where he stands in our relationship and our friendship and where he believes I can contribute to this movement and potentially, politics, left-wing politics going forward. That would have been the appropriate response. That would have been the response that one would expect from a woman who has not only been spared by Bernie Sanders, but has actually been defended by Bernie Sanders. The same Bernie Sanders who wrote a letter to the Center for American Progress and then made it publicly available by giving it to the New York Times, not only defending Elizabeth Warren, but also Cory Booker. The same Bernie Sanders who has come to the defense of Elizabeth Warren on stage time and time and time again, much to the dismay of his supporters. The same Bernie Sanders who, once again, much to the dismay of many of his supporters, has come to defend you in ways that he has not come to defend the person who stood up for him in 2016, Tulsi Gabbard. The same Bernie Sanders who said that Elizabeth Warren would be a great presidential candidate in 2015, asked you to run for president in 2016, but you didn't want to do it. He begged you to run for office in 2015, but you didn't want to do it. Instead, you would have rather been a puppet to Hillary Clinton. The same Bernie Sanders who, even after being taunted by Elizabeth Warren in this fashion, do you know how he responded? Elizabeth Warren is a good friend of mine. We have worked in the Senate for years. We will continue to work together. We will debate the issues. No one is going to trash Elizabeth Warren. We have hundreds of employees. Warren has hundreds of employees. Sometimes people say things that they shouldn't. Then he said that this is a big media, what do you say? This is a media blow up. A media blow up that wants conflict. So even after once again being given every single reason to go at Elizabeth Warren, he's still not done so. See, what Elizabeth Warren, it's funny because she goes at not only obviously Bernie Sanders, but Bernie Sanders volunteers. And if she wanted to come at Bernie Sanders volunteers, you know what? As somebody who's worked for the campaign, not in 2020, but in 2016, come at us, bro. Because we don't like you. We've made it clear. But as someone who has worked for the campaign, let me be clear. Do you know what volunteers and especially employees are told not to do, at least while you're working for Bernie Sanders' campaign? You are not permitted to trash any other candidate. Even if Bernie or Nina says something about another candidate, unless you are directly, unless you're at such a level where you're in a surrogate, where you're being asked questions in an interview, things like that. And even then, there's a certain way you have to go about it. Bernie Sanders does not allow the trashing of any other candidate. Bro, do you know how irritated we were when we were being told to take it easy on Hillary in 2016? And when Bernie wouldn't even call her out to the degree that he should have called her out in 2016? Do you know how irritated Bernie supporters in 2020 have been? Because Bernie has refused to hit Elizabeth Warren where it hurts and has refused to critique the person who at one point, and potentially could still be that, became the biggest threat to take voters away from him. The biggest threat, not only because once again, it isn't just about the vote that you earn in the DNC. It's about the vote that you're given and the excuses that are given for you whenever election rigging takes place. It's about that superdelegate vote. It's about that vice presidential pick, right? And they were setting up the narrative that Elizabeth Warren was Bernie Sanders, but just young and a woman. And even though we were everybody, and once again, I've endorsed Tulsi, but I still support Bernie. And you don't have to support any one of those candidates to know that Elizabeth Warren's a fraud. You got to understand that even throughout all that, Bernie still has not critiqued you to the degree that he should have. The moment you stole his Medicare for All plan, after you'd have refused to vote for it in the past, and then you watered it down, and then you've been taking credit for it on the debates, Bernie has had every reason to destroy your career. You left him high and dry in 2016. You left Bernie supporters, Bernie employees, and Bernie volunteers high and dry in 2016. And Bernie didn't even attack you for that. And once again, how do you repay him? In a year that we desperately needed Bernie Sanders, just like we desperately needed Tulsi Gabbard this election. And I would even say we desperately needed a Marianne Williamson, and to a degree, even Andrew Yang, just as an outsider. For somebody who's going to call out the BS where some other candidates would not call out the BS. And Marianne Williamson and Yang have been great at that. We needed a Bernie Sanders. We didn't need a copy of Bernie Sanders. We needed to know that Bernie could win this thing straight up. Once again, that's how I feel about every candidate. If you're going to be the president of the United States of America to get the mandate that you need going forward, you need to be able to win in competition. So that there is absolutely no question whatsoever that when you get to that office, you will get the unequivocal support of the majority of this country, because that is what we're going to need to make the changes necessary that we are going to need to make before the world comes to an end. And you betray him in 2016. He doesn't attack you for it, still calls you friend, still celebrates you, and even defends you. And you repay him by running for president and disrupting him, even though in 2015, 2016, he was going to step back and let you run. Warren, you got some you got some nerve. You got some nerve on you. And in a situation, once again, where you could have taken the high road, you did not do so. You wanted to exacerbate the issue. Instead of, this is a nothing burger. I know where me and Bernie Sanders are friends. I know where our relationship is. I'm not going to attribute some random volunteer's Slack comment to Bernie Sanders. Nope, that's not what she did. She said, Bernie Sanders is sending his volunteers to attack me. Bernie Sanders is sending his This is not me quoting this, or excuse me, this is not me paraphrasing. I was disappointed to hear Bernie Sanders is sending his volunteers to attack me, or out to trash me, excuse me. Not just attack, out to trash her. Really? You know what's interesting about that? And once again, that's why I say Bernie gets stabbed in the back again. What's even more interesting about that is the fact that we know that Bernie has been attacked. I would say that Bernie and Tulsi, I say Tulsi has been the most attacked. Bernie has been consistently attacked a little bit more than he was in 2016, because for the most part, he experienced a blackout in 2015, 2016, if you all remember. Then he was attacked once he became more of a threat. But in 2019, 2020, he's been attacked more than in 2016. And the attacks have been absolutely disgusting. The attacks have been disgusting. Whenever they started calling Bernie Sanders sexist, where was Elizabeth Warren at? Where was Elizabeth Warren to say that's not true? Bernie Sanders walked up to me in 2015 and asked me to run for president, and I told him no. He wanted a woman to be president. He wanted someone who was perceived as a progressive woman who was simply, at the time, considered just a younger version of Bernie. At the time, that's what she was considered. A younger female version of Bernie. Bernie wanted that. He was willing to step back at that point. And she wouldn't step up. But yet, whenever the calls to tell Bernie he's sexist come out, where's Elizabeth Warren at? when Bernie is being attacked personally, where's Elizabeth Warren? Where's Elizabeth Warren at? When Bernie's Medicare for All is being attacked for the last 3 to 4 years, where was Elizabeth Warren at? Where? How many times has the Hillary Clinton establishment maligned Bernie Sanders in the most disingenuous way to silence from Elizabeth Warren? Whereas they tried that for a second with her and Cory Booker, and Bernie went straight at the Hillary Clinton establishment, which was kind of a surprise to everybody, let's be honest, because he had a habit of kind of either ignoring them or sometimes, many would say, kind of emboldening them by trying to be non-combative and just ignoring what they've been doing. So we're just trying to run a good race. I believe Hillary Clinton would have still been a great president. Like, so it was a surprise when he actually goes after Center for American Progress and Hillary Clinton's little crew to defend Elizabeth Warren. It was a surprise to all of us. And Elizabeth Warren has not defended Bernie Sanders once this entire election cycle. But the first time she gets a chance to attack him, what? Wow. I don't know what else to say. Just wow. But hey, Elizabeth Warren's an ally, right? It's that Tulsi Gabbard who's an evil undercover Republican. It isn't Elizabeth Warren who is literally a Republican. Who boasted about Center for the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, boasted about that, neglecting to tell the world that it was actually a Trojan horse to help usher in the new Dodd-Frank, which made the banks even bigger. Didn't talk about that part. But that Tulsi Gabbard, she's the one you can't trust. Elizabeth Warren's it was Tulsi Gabbard, but now Elizabeth Warren's my number 2. Why? I don't know. I just feel like I can trust her. I know that she's really bad on Medicare for All. I know that she's really bad on foreign policy, abysmal on foreign policy. I know that she kissed the ring. She kissed Hillary Clinton's ring and was being vetted for vice president right after she left Bernie Sanders high and dry after he was about to back her for presidency in 2015, 2016. I know that she said there are too many Palestinian babies being born in Israel and that it's a demographic reality that Israel has to deal with and take seriously. I know that as we've watched every single debate, we've watched Elizabeth Warren take credit for Bernie's Medicare for All and then distort it to the point where nobody knows what the hell Medicare for All means anymore if you're just a casual observer. I know that she profited from the plight of Native American people that she then turned around and threw under the bus as Standing Rock and never once apologized for it. In fact, she said, I know who I am and I know who my family is. I know what my background is, to a Native American Cherokee woman. But yeah, she's an ally to the progressive movement. She's an ally to the progressive movement. Right? That's what they tell you. You know, I got a lot of respect for Tulsi for obvious reasons as far as the politics are concerned. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. Bernie has I don't know what the he's not good at picking the right people to keep around him most times. The right people pick him, but it is not always reciprocated. Bernie is good at attracting great people, but not necessarily recognizing who is trustworthy. Everybody has their flaws. This is one of Bernie Sanders' flaws. Why do I say that? Because, well, let's call it what it is. Basically, this entire election, Bernie Sanders has left Tulsi Gabbard high and dry. Ro Khanna actually attacked Tulsi and even lied about where Tulsi voted on some things. Never got reined in. Instead, Bernie actually kind of ends up embracing him more. Whereas Tulsi has stood next to Bernie since 2015, since her Great Awakening. Nina always talks about this, and so does Tulsi. That was a Great Awakening period for Tulsi and Nina as well, for various reasons. Not just Bernie Sanders, but what the movement introduced them to going forward. It was Tulsi on that stage, and guess what? Bernie and Tulsi even disagreed on some things. Y'all don't know, in 2015, Tulsi tried to end the war in Syria. Bernie disagreed with that. But because Tulsi understood the direction this country needs to go in, right? It isn't just about getting to the finish line. You have to also make sure you're on the right track. Bernie was calling out regime change wars at the time, more so than he does now. He was against war with Iran. He voted against the war in Iraq, and he said he wanted to pull out of Afghanistan. And he was willing to critique Obama on those issues, whereas other people were not. Tulsi said, you know what? That's good enough for me. And if everybody in the establishment is trying to cheat you, that tells me something. Tulsi gave up her position to back him. She's been attacked for still backing him. Of course, she's running for presidency. But if you've ever been at her town halls, if you've ever seen some of her interviews, she still defends Bernie Sanders. She still considers him a great fan. Even after he high-key threw her under the bus during that interview with The View. So I have a lot of respect for her for seeing the treatment that Bernie is giving Warren, which is much more forgiving in nature, and even going out of the way to defend her when she's giving him absolutely zero reason to. But that's why I say Bernie has I don't know what the he's just not good when it comes to social intelligence, like the people he should keep around him versus the people he should keep at a distance. And that's part of being an independent your entire life. That's part of not having to rely on anybody else but yourself because of the unique life that Bernie Sanders has lived, where his brother went to Europe almost immediately after Bernie Sanders graduated high school. So basically the start of his adult life. His parents died while Bernie was still a very, very young adult, 17, 18 years old. So he's had to fend for himself, get in where he fit in, where he's always accepted, but he's still at his core an outsider. And he's embraced that. But because of that, it's hard to tell when people are just gassing you up, especially after you've been doubted historically, and when people are genuinely working for your cause. Here you have Elizabeth Warren, who has stabbed you in the back, Tulsi Gabbard, who has worked for your cause, and now because of your silence in defending Tulsi and your seeming necessity to defend Warren, many of his newer supporters are confused and they started defending Warren and attacking Tulsi. They're like, how can Tulsi run at the same time as Elizabeth Warren? She should drop out. Or excuse me, how can Tulsi run at the same time as Bernie Sanders? Even though Tulsi announced first, she should drop out. She's a snake. She's just a Republican in sheep's clothing. Elizabeth Warren announces after Bernie Sanders. After Bernie Sanders. After Bernie Sanders. After betraying him in 2015, 2016. But because Bernie Sanders defended him, what do they always say? Well, Elizabeth Warren's my second choice, actually. Elizabeth Warren's my second choice. Huh? How do you get to that conclusion? How do you get to the conclusion that Elizabeth Warren is your second choice, people? But this is why. At the end of the day, and this is for everything, it isn't necessarily an insult, it's just the reality. It's an observational reality. Politics is all about cult of personality because of the trust factor required for you to want to vote and campaign for and work for you're a candidate. There's a trust factor, and with that trust factor comes cult of personality. It's natural. So when Bernie is silent on the DNC and how Tulsi's being treated, and then he defends Elizabeth Warren, naturally people are watching. Bernie is unfortunately leading by example without ever telling his supporters to do anything. And I don't think that he understands that sometimes. You got stabbed in the back by Hillary Clinton when you said you would endorse the Democratic nominee, much to the chagrin of your supporters once again. And you did your job. A job that I did not agree with, but I'd never attacked him for it. But you did your job. You endorsed her. You campaigned with her. You went on that unity tour with Tom Perez, campaigned with him for the Democrats, and helped try to fundraise for the Dems. Even as we know, they sent the FBI after Jane Sanders to try and get Bernie to be distracted and probably to try not run again. He still persisted, helping the Democrats. Elizabeth Warren, once again. Then what happens? Campaign for Obama back in the day. Defended Obama, protected Obama back in the day. Obama stabs him in the back. Hillary Clinton stabs him in the back after trying to shoot him in the front, but missing. Tom Perez stabs him in the back. Even Tad Devine, that's just a whole different conversation, stabs him in the back. Jesse Jackson stabs him in the back. I don't know if y'all remember that story about a year or so ago. Jesse Jackson stabbed him in the back. And now, new, fresh wounds come because Elizabeth Warren stabs him in the back. While once again, people like myself take heat because we just merely critique Bernie. We never attack Bernie, we critique Bernie. Because, well, we critique everybody. People like Jimmy Dore. People like Fiorella, who literally campaigns for Bernie like every other weekend and has endorsed Bernie. People like Pasta. We get attacked for merely critiquing Bernie and also supporting Tulsi. Tulsi gets attacked for running for president. Just for running for president. That's basically, if you want to distill what it is all about, it's how dare Tulsi run for president at the same time as Bernie Sanders. That's what that's about. But we're the ones who are said to betray the movement. Elizabeth Warren is the one who's considered a progressive. Booker ended his campaign, bro. I'm gonna cover that later. Thanks for letting me know, Manny. Appreciate that. But we're the ones who are supposed to be grifters. Tulsi's a grifter. But then you have people like Emma Vigilant, Anna Kasparian, Sam Cedar, and others. They're like, well, I really like Elizabeth Warren, though. I really like her. She's my second choice. She's really good. She's really progressive. Even Kyle, who I consider a friend, defended Elizabeth Warren over and over and over again, saying that she was basically only second to Bernie Sanders. Mike Figueredo, same thing. David Dole, same thing. And yeah, Elizabeth Warren's about to find out the hard way, something that people like myself have figured out very early on. But she's about to figure out in the worst way. You don't attack Bernie Sanders. Don't even critique him. You can't even rightfully critique Bernie Sanders without bringing on the wrath. Okay, you can't even critique him without bringing on the wrath. So you just went on an attack on him, lying and saying that Bernie sent volunteers to trash you. Oh, good luck with that. You're about to find out the hard way that this movement oftentimes go, at least online, it oftentimes goes the way that Bernie Sanders wants it to go. And that's whether you are in the right or the wrong. That's good and bad. But for Elizabeth Warren, she's about to find out the hard way. Because you never deserved that man's praises. You've trampled on his friendship. You've betrayed his trust, like so many others before him. And people are seeing this. People are noticing. So many people where you were their second choice, where they were actually probably a little bit more willing to vote for you. For some reason now they're like, oh man, now I just finally see the light. It isn't all the other stuff that she's done, like lying about being indigenous, profiting off of their plight, and then throwing them under the bus. That isn't the thing that does it. I know life isn't fair sometimes, but the universe has a way of working things out, doesn't it? And you picked the wrong fight. And that's a fact. I would love to know what your thoughts are about this. Leave a like and a comment below. Share this video. Make sure you are still subscribed. They've been purging subscribers on YouTube as usual. They always purge subscribers the moment we upload something. I remember I was uploading something yesterday. I was like, watch this. Talking to my girl, and she was like, it was processing. The moment you process, nobody's even seen the video. 10 subscribers gone. You process, look back at your subscriber count, 10 subscribers gone. So make sure you're still subscribed. A lot of people DM me and tell me they're not subscribed. But if you want to make sure you are always subscribed and make sure that you always getting the notifications and getting updates, go to rockfin.com/Niko. ROKFIN.com/Niko. I posted it's in the description, but I also posted in the live chat if you're watching live. Go subscribe to us there. Love the platform. So much better than YouTube. But subscribe to us there. We are, thanks to you all, the most viewed political content from both the left and the right on Rockfin. And the Combo Couch is the most streamed content on the platform. Our most viewed stream on the platform. So, and that's thanks to you all. So, go there if you're having trouble finding us on YouTube. I know a lot of people are literally saying their videos are unavailable. Like, I'll be live, they'll click on the video and it says it's unavailable. So that's the best way. That's the best way to make sure you're getting everything. And also the best way to make sure you get access to our premium content, our Rockfin exclusive content, like the MCSC Uncensored podcast with myself and Robbie Yeager. If you've watched it or if you're a premium member already, you already know we get it popping. It's a lot more vulgar. So I'm letting y'all know, it's a lot more vulgar than the YouTube stuff. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. And always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell if you like that segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Of course, if YouTube is giving you trouble, as it always does, you can download the Rockfin app and follow us there. Also, if you want to continue to help our show grow, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon and donate as little as $1. Really, anything helps. Other than that, always remember, people, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.